Hello everyone, hope you're doing well today. I just wanted to put together a quick video that discusses green and red prints on the time and sales. This is a smaller, subset of slides from a larger presentation that I'm going to be creating on time and sales. But I wanted to go ahead and put this out there because I see just a ton of misinformation across the internet and even in books on what green and red prints represent when you see them on your time and sales. So I'm going to quickly walk through, what the time and sales is, and I'm going to give you some information about how you can think about which participants are taking place in the auction based on which color you're seeing come across your tape. So first off, just to start from the absolute basics, the time and sales is just a record of all of the transactions that have been executed in the market, right? So if you look at this time and sales snapshot of Amazon, you can see the price at which every single one of these orders is executed, the share quantity, and the time that it went through. Okay? Now, we're getting kind of two super critical pieces of information from the time and sales. The first is this coloring, right? And so the coloring tells us where the order was executed in relation to the bid and the ask. On my platform, you can actually choose, kind of multiple different colors depending on where it's executed. A lot of platforms will just have green and red, but for me, a green print is a print that takes place at the ask, and a red print is one that takes place at the bid. The second piece of information that we're getting, which is also super important that I'm not going to discuss as much today, is the quantity of shares being transacted, right? But in the simplest terms, that just tells you how large the participant is. So again, while yes, every transaction represents both a buy and a sell, right? That's obvious. The color of the print and also the size of the order can give us some very valuable insight into the psychology of the different types of participants that are involved in that transaction. But before we get into the different types of participants that could be involved in a transaction, I want to give you a golden nugget of knowledge that has taken me hours of talking to technical support on platforms, to digging through SEC documentation, to get a definitive final answer on how limit orders print on the time and sales. This is, again, something that, it's pretty nuanced, but you are going to have to kind of at least sort of understand it for the next two slides on red and green prints to make complete and total sense. So the definitive answer is that limit buys should technically come across as green prints, and limit sells should be red prints. And so to explain that, I put together these two little boxes here, and we'll start by talking about a limit buy, right? So with a limit buy order, you start out, you put your limit below where the current bid-ask spread is, right? According to SEC documentation, for your limit order to get executed, the ask price has to drop either equal to or below your limit price, okay? Thus, because your price is either at or below the limit for the ask, you should be seeing a green print when a limit buy order gets transacted, right? Now, of course, obviously the other party to that is a seller that is sold to you, but the point is, technically a limit buy should be a green print. Now, on the flip side of that, limit sell orders work the exact same way, but in reverse and with the bid. So you put your limit above where the price currently is, and in order for that limit sell to get executed, the bid price has to be either at or above your limit price, okay? So again, this is SEC documentation. This is canon. You can't argue with this. It technically should be a red print, and this technically should be a green print. However, after talking to my platform technical support for several hours via emails and chats, there are several reasons where that will cause this not to be the case. Okay, so basically a limit buy could print as red, a limit sell could print as green because of one of these four main reasons. The first is that there are hidden sell buy orders that are actually better than the national best ask/bid price. So it is technically possible for you to get filled a little bit better than what your limit is. Second, dark pool transactions. Not going to get into the nuances of dark pools, but their quotes are not publicly listed, right? And when their transactions actually go through, they're just being recorded. And so whatever price happens to be the bid or ask when they get recorded, that's what it's going to show up as, and there's really nothing we can do about it. Third, there technically could be situations if the market's moving extremely quickly where the ask and the bid actually get either equal or they actually cross each other. And so those kind of super fast momentum situations could cause these prints to be the wrong color, essentially. And then fourth, just technical limitations of your platform, right? Your platform is getting the price of execution and comparing it to what the bid ask is. And so if there's any type of lag or delay in that, it could, again, technically be printed the wrong color. This is something, again, if you're a little bit confused by it, it's okay, but no one out there explains this, and it took me hours of digging around to find what I believe is kind of the definitive answer on limit orders. All right, so with that explanation out of the way, let's talk about red prints. These are prints on your time and sales that are executed at the bid, okay? Now, it is important to recognize that there are a couple different types of participants that could show up here, right? That could represent a red print. The first are impatient sellers. These are people that, maybe they're panicking or they just, for whatever reason, immediately want to get out of their position. And so they choose to execute this sell with a market order. With a market order, you are going to get filled at the bid, okay? So you're going to come across as a red print because you're paying the spread in exchange for faster guaranteed execution. The next participant could be an initiative short seller. This is somebody that, they want to get into a short position now, immediately. And so they execute on a market order, again, paying the spread in exchange for faster guaranteed execution. The third participant type, though, which is kind of the hardest to explain, are the limit orders, right? And we just talked about the fact that buy or sell limit orders could technically show up as green or red, okay? But technically, a red print limit order should be a seller. Now, in general, with all three of these participant types, it is going to be very dependent upon what the price action is currently doing. Are you at a support or resistance level? And what is your level 2, your order book, telling you about liquidity zones and kind of where the demand and the supply of the market is at that point, which help you determine, who is the dominant type of participant here, right? Because if you have mostly impatient sellers that are selling to patient buyers, right, you could get a price flush. Or if you have mostly initiative short sellers, right, that are essentially selling to patient buyers, there's always the chance that you get a squeeze. So understanding which of these participants is dominant or the most common based on where you're currently at in relation to all of these other indicators and other tools you have at your disposal will give you kind of a better understanding of what could happen next. All right? So that is at the bid red prints. All right, so let's bring it home by talking about green prints. These are prints that execute at the ask price. And it is, again, super important to remember that you could have a couple different participant types that are causing these green prints to take place. You could have people that are impatient buyers, right? They want to get into a position right now, immediately. They have FOMO. They feel they're going to miss the move higher, so they get in with a market order. And again, as a result, they pay the spread and their order hits the ask. You could have people that are impatiently covering their short positions. Either they're getting squeezed out or, again, for whatever reason, they just want to exit their position. When you exit a position and you cover your position, that is buying. And if you do it on a market order, you're going to show up as a green print. And then finally, once again, as with red prints, you have limit order participants that have been patiently waiting for this price to get hit. And so what I want you to take away from this short video is that, yes, every single transaction has both a buyer and a seller, okay? But understanding where you are in terms of price action, support resistance, level 2, all these other tools will help you understand which end of that transaction is getting the worst deal, right? If most of the buyers seem like they are impatient buyers or shorts getting squeezed, that is going to result in very different price action than if most of the buyers in that transaction are people just patiently waiting for a limit order to get hit, right? That could stall the price, whereas impatient buyers and impatient shorts could squeeze the price higher. And so if you understand which group is selling to which other group, or which group is buying from which selling group, right? You're going to be able to interpret price action and you're going to be able to predict future price action way better. So hopefully all of this made sense. Hopefully I explained this clearly to you guys. And if you liked the video, again, please leave it a like. If you want to see more stuff like this, please subscribe. But have a great day. And if you have an argument with somebody about where limit orders show up, please send them this video so that we can once and for all put this issue to bed. Have a good day.